stream fired up. Put the word out. There we go. And welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I am your host, Kalari GXC. There is a lot to talk about tonight, but we are going to get started on a very somber topic. Something that, welcome to the chat beans, that I know that if you've been on Twitter or you've been read the news that you've known about, it's a topic that's hard for me as a mom of an autistic son who will be an adult next year, technically, to be reminded of this young man's last moments on this earth. But I need to remind people of everything that's going on with this case because there are people still trying to downplay, act like this isn't a big deal. But Elijah McClain should still be here. The fact that the coroner finally ruled that his death was ketamine related is big. It means the officers who restrained, injected, and murdered him need to be indicted, need to face actual jail time for his murder. The people who actually helped as well. I am sick and tired of people trying to downplay actual legalized lynching. And seeing this coroner's update, we're not shocked. We knew years ago. When this happened in 2019, we knew when it happened that this wasn't right. The fact that they approached him because he was walking home, whistling and singing, something that a lot of kids with autism do. He didn't have any weapons on him. He wasn't a threat. He was just trying to go home. And then they released a statement of what his last words were, how he was trying to convince them that he was a good person. He didn't eat meat. He didn't judge people who did eat meat. He just wanted to go home. And I can't help feel as a mom how I would feel if my baby's last words were taught to me by the people who were supposed to protect him, but see his skin tone as a threat. I don't understand this world. I'm just trying to navigate it. But I am sick and tired of our acceptable forms of legalized brutality. This cannot stand. The coroner knows that you're not supposed to forcibly restrain somebody and then inject them with a sedative. They murdered him. And justice really needs to be faced for stuff like this. I am tired of these stories. I'm tired of this being an American norm. Especially when you counter it with assholes like Kyle Rittenhouse, who could buy a gun at 18 that he shouldn't have had access to, cross state lines, murder two people, injure another, and then acts like he's a victim. Sets up GoFundMes because, Kyle, you ruined your life. I don't think you need to understand any deeper than that. You murdered people. You might not legally be in trouble for it because the judge seen you as a kid that could have been his. But for the rest of us, we understand that breaking the law we can't do it. We can't even fucking walk home in a joyful mood without risking our fucking lives. And it has to stop. And there's just been a coordinated effort to keep us in this perpetual cycle of misery that I'm going to get to tonight because it's infuriating. But this Elijah McClain thing hits me hard. Not just as a parent, but as somebody who really feels like, how is this fair? These same people want to whine whenever somebody says defund the police, which I'm not a defund the police type at all. I have been a victim of crime. I understand that we do need cops, but we need cops that want to do their job right and that will be held accountable when they don't. And it's shit like this that gives fire to those people who just want to burn everything down but don't have anything to replace it with. It's shit like this that makes it easy for them to spread that message. And I am fucking sick of non-cooler heads, non-smarter heads prevailing in this. We want justice. We want Elijah's mom to understand that her baby's death isn't in vain. And that is the only thing I'm pushing for in this, is that every single person involved with his murder is prosecuted and sent to jail, just like George Floyd's murderers. We have another one that's up for sentencing soon, and I hope he gets at least 10 years, just like the other fucker that's sitting in jail. It's not perfect because for me, a life for a life would have been better. But the fact is, we need to show them that if they're going to do this, if they're going to cross the line and try to be judge, jury, and executioner, they're going to go to jail for the criminals that they are. Because once you cross that line, you stop being a cop. And I'm fucking sick and tired of having to say the names of black bodies that are being put in the ground way before their time. But I'm not going to stop because it all correlates to what's been going on. I seen the bullshit this week. People mad at Stacey Abrams for confirming that at 6 weeks there's not a viable heartbeat a lot of times in a fetus. This is scientific stuff, but they don't want science. How dare you be smart? How dare you understand what goes on in your body, woman? They just want us dumb and fuckable meatbags. And then you have these weird ADOS psyops trying to ding her as well. Marcel, I wear a fucking straw hat and barefoot flowers. There's a reason why Jim Clyburn beat the brakes off for you in that running. And it wasn't because they got your name wrong. Nobody wants a shuck and jive brother who isn't going to do for our communities. And you're on social media trying to ding Stacey Abrams, who is doing her damnedest to try to save Georgia from itself. It's infuriating watching these obvious psyops who get mad that she, who will be the governor of every single person in Georgia, wants to reach out to more than just black people. That's a tell. Whether people accept it or not, when you become a leader of anything, how you reflect that leadership shows us what we can get out of you. Stacey didn't just say, I'm going to be the governor of a certain group of Georgians. She wants to reach out to every single person because she would be their entire leader. That's what leaders do. You tried to ding Joe Biden for the same shit. Because for you, it's all or nothing. You got to only be on our side. We need people that act like Trump. One of the disgusting things I seen this morning, my friend who lives in Florida, all of you know the South goes through what's called storm season. Hurricane Central especially. If you're in the Gulf or the Panhandle or any of the southeastern states, you know that these are trying times until at least mid-November, sometimes even later, especially with global warming. Some assholes think to ding DeSantis, who I'm not a fan of, they're wishing for a storm to hit Florida. Because I guess innocent lives in Florida, innocent Dem lives, innocent Republican lives too, aren't worth to you because you want to stick it to a governor who can and probably would flee the state if he needed to. Who would be safe no matter what. I am sick and tired of the cruelty coming out of certain people. But you don't surprise me because you did the progress for me and not for thee. You thought that we were going to elect a Dem with a D by their name, but act just like Trump. And you're mad that we have compassion, smart people doing their job that want to make sure every American's covered. Even the ones that hate them, because that is the reality of being a leader. I tell people all the time, I don't do this shit for people that just like me. As much as I appreciate y'all, and welcome to the chat, respect. As much as I appreciate having the people that have my back, I am more conscious of the fact that a lot of people, I told Greg last night, I am pretty damn sure that the amount of follows I get on Twitter, a large percentage of them are just people that want to see what I can say next, mock me or make fun of me or hate on me, and that's on them. If that's the way you want to live your life, go on, have your fun. Sad, but that's the reality of any kind of attention, any kind of situation where you put yourself out there. And for politicians, it's even worse. You got fuckers that don't even live here, don't even have a dime in this quarter, trying to use those same Russian and right-wing psyops about this president's competency. It's like, you need to mind your business. Because as I looked around the globe, y'all ain't doing well. COVID's ravaging your countries. You've got your alt-right problems, being arrested for unarmed weapons and bullshit like that. And your monarchy sucks. So please keep out of our business. We'll handle it over here. I think what troubles me about this constant attacks on this administration is they have shown that despite coming in with absolutely nothing done, because Trump, the only thing Trump did was supposedly declassify stuff with his thoughts and then trade it to whoever would give him money. Besides the treason, we had a full-on pandemic here. We've had no fucking rollout for it. We had a country in crisis, and this administration for the last 2 years have been putting out fucking fires left, right, and center. They stopped the railroad crisis. They are trying their damnedest to work against the inflation. And I know it's hard. I've seen some of the posts from friends who had to pay a lot going grocery shopping. And I know that pain. I feel like I got far less this month starting off because I start at the beginning of the month and the middle of the month. Anybody who has a teenager knows that pain. You can't just do a little bit of shopping when you got a almost 6 foot tall eating machine in your house. I realized that strategic shopping was the only way I was going to survive when he was a kid. So I do that now. But I noticed that it is harder to stock up the way I used to. I noticed that there's a lot more stuff that I used to be able to get freely that isn't available. And you work around it. What I want people to understand is that if we continue to let Republicans run your state, especially, we are going to see worse because they're not going to regulate these businesses that want to work people to damn near death, jack up the prices for stuff that shouldn't be that expensive for us, and see nothing but a halt in the flow of commerce. But when you have senators and governors that want to work with us, my state does not have half the issues. And that is because our governor is doing their damnedest. And you've got Republicans trying to come after them, mocking the fact that she was a victim of a fucking kidnapping plot. That's why I said assholes like Tudor Dixon. I really, really hope that Gretchen Whitmer beats her in such an embarrassing way by such a large turnout that anytime she talks, because I'm sure she'll do a circuit afterwards, because that's all they have for their grift is to whine afterwards about how they were done wrong. But I want this election to be such a good turnout that Tudor Dixon can't show her face without people dropping the is this you receipts and she loses by a huge margin. Because to mock what Gretchen Whitmer went through is disgusting. But that's all the GOP has is cruelty, ignorance, and disgusting. And exactly, Beans. He has to eat. And I realize that right now we are in a really tough time, but we have always dealt with that. I am a child of the 80s that came out of the really bad recession of the 70s. I had depression era grandparents. So we always learned how to not only stockpile, but how to shop smart. If it's not in, go without. Learn how to make staples. I have a huge ass pantry with a big ass thing of rice and other staples just in case things go to shit. And being a Gen Xer, we were constantly told things were going to go to shit. I still keep physical books of everything. I still keep physical music. I have CDs. I have all kinds of entertainment that I can use just in case things go to shit because they were constantly drilling in our head that things were going to go to shit. And with people now speculating that Putin in his desperation might do something really fucking dumb, all of my fucking childhood fears growing up in the 80s with things like the day after and all those other nuclear Holocaust type stories have been plaguing my mind. And I want us to get away from this. I want us to get to the point where we look back on these days and go, damn, what was wrong with our species? I'm so glad we're not like this. But it is going to be painful because we are watching the literal death throes of ignorant people who don't want to be smarter, but don't like people who are smart, who don't want to be called racist, they just want to say racist things, who want to punch down and bully, but then act like they're the victims when the people who they're bullying is say enough's enough, or shine a light on their bullying. Case in point. Rest in peace, Elijah. I really, really hope that we see justice for Elijah McCain. But you have people like this lady, let me find her, Amy Cooper. Everybody remembers Amy Cooper, Miss Central Park Karen, Miss. You can't tell me how to handle and restrain my dog. I'm going to call the cops on you and say that a black man's attacking me. She tried to sue her employers for firing her racist ass for daring to call her racist, and they threw it out. Because, bitch, you're on tape, literally lying on a black man because you thought you could get the cops to come and legalize lynch him for doing something you knew you wasn't supposed to do in a public park. This is what we're up against. This is the kind of America that we have. This normalization of utilizing the police against us as an attack force has to stop. The fact that we can even say that I can sue you for calling me racist when you literally did something racist is fucking documented. You are literally on tape doing this thing. The amount of hubris that these people have has to stop. It is a social condition attitude and arrogance that was spurred on from centuries of this manifest destiny of anybody darker than you that doesn't look or culturally act like you is a savage that you can either change and assimilate or completely get rid of or dehumanize, and it has to stop. We have to be the ones to stop it. And you know what I said instead all week? A lot more defeatism when we've had wins. A lot more ignoring the fact that this administration has been doing their damnedest, navigating fuckery, getting jobs done, passing things that need to be passed, helping people out, lifting us out of poverty, slowly but surely moving us towards stability. And instead of people running with that, every time I turn on Twitter, which I've been avoiding now, I've been working on my writing more because I am just so sick and tired of seeing the defeatist mentality. And I know it's not easy. We watch CNN shift. They went from, oh, we're going to be fair and balanced to, oh, we don't want to be accused of being too liberal. We don't want to be accused of being left-leaning, to literally their Trump buddy owned guy shifted things, moved Don Lemon to the mornings, got Jake Tapper's dumbass running the evenings, and they are going to do their damnedest to try to hammer this administration on everything. And their strongest argument is, should the president, who is the commander-in-chief, have military people in the background when he makes speeches? Yes, because he's a commander-in-chief. I am really tired along with you, and I understand it. I'm not going to pretend like there aren't people boldly acting like they can fly fucking Nazi flags and do the fucking Hitler salute at Republican rallies, but that should motivate you. If you're a white woman between the ages of 14, and I know some girls, because I got my period at 11, could get it earlier, but since they trying to get the age of consent at 14 in Tennessee, I'm putting it at 14 to about 60, because my grandmother at 60 still got her period. You should be concerned about somebody legislating your body to the point where you can't even make medical decisions for yourself. This is not just fucked up those of us who are still of childbearing age and abilities. People who got IUDs are now on waiting lists trying to, I got fibroids I need to shrink. And because of these fucking supposed rollbacks of Dobbs, most of us don't know where we're going to end up with that. We have medications that have been completely stopped for people who need it. This is life-saving medicine for people on disability. This is what happens when you let assholes like Abbott, assholes like Kemp, assholes like Cruz into our halls of Congress or running their state into the fucking ground. This is what happens when you let men like McConnell think they're fucking untouchable for years. Maneuvering, wheeling, dealing, making sure that he could get people in key states until they got what they wanted. A fucking Trump presidency. And Trump was a useful tool. They don't care about him now. They're literally letting the party burn itself out because they got what they wanted, which was the fucking SCOTUS. And now all these geniuses will expand the SCOTUS then. It's like you will make a hole in the wall, and instead of realizing that that hole is bad, that hole can possibly destroy the foundation of everything, you're like, we'll just put plaster over it and ignore it. We need more than just expanding the SCOTUS. We need to understand why there are so many Americans so keen on this indoctrination, so keen on the conservative cruelty. I watched that weird Yelkin video where that white woman was talking about how CRT and bullying lessons are more of a problem for her. And it's like they're literally raised from the cradle to the damn grave to hate anything different. But let them be the victims of something. And white women, I need you to understand at this point, if you keep electing conservatives, you will be the victims. You will have that Gilead that you see on the Handmaid's Tale. Only you're not going to be the hero of the story. You will be the person they're breathing to death. You will be that young girl that they think, well, if she's a victim of rape or incest at 13, having that baby will teach her a life lesson about God and all the rest of that dumbass pseudo-Christian bullshit that they pull. Because I'm not calling it Christian stuff at this point. No viable Christian, no viable spiritual person, period, should want to harm a child, should want to mentally and physically traumatize a child to that point. But we are dealing with ghouls who want to say that they love the Bible, say they care about the Bible, but do everything against that. And it just doesn't make sense to me that I have to even appeal to women at this point. But you got people on TikTok becoming famous talking about the Dems messaging, or becoming famous because how dare the Dems send me a fundraising email. Because the point of the matter is they want to depress the turnout. Chaos is lucrative for some people, and they would much rather drag us into bad times. They would much rather downplay the stability and good because they can't see relevancy in themselves. They forget that no matter what, there's always going to be weird in this world. There's always going to be bad in this world. We got a whole ass fucking war going on overseas, even though Putin's losing, to the point where Russian soldiers are pass out drunk on the tarmac before they roll out, or Googling how to break their arms so they don't have to get into active service. Is a fucking mess. We have plenty of things going on in this world. If you think the stuff that goes on here, it's boring. But considering the shit that I hear that comes out of Florida every day, and I don't even live in Florida no more, but I hear the stories, we will never have a slow news day in America. We just have a news system that doesn't seem to understand the changing needs of the people that watch it, and that's why they're losing views. And instead of figuring shit out, getting a younger, more diverse group to help lead them, no, we'll have an old white man tell us what we need to do, and what he thinks is, well, Fox News has steady viewership. Of course, all their viewers are hate mongers that fear everything that doesn't look like them and constantly need that daily dose of fear and who to hate and who to be afraid of. Well, how can we tap into that? And there you go. And now CNN is fucking acting exactly like Fox News. And what troubles me about this situation is how avoidable all of this has been. We had one job to do in 2015, and we did it for those of us who voted in the primaries. But in the freaking general election, people let that October surprise from Comey, writing this shit like Harambe, because, there's no possible way Trump will win. All the excuses some of the people around me made for not doing their damnedest to make sure that Donald Trump didn't become president, I'm never going to forget that. And too many of you play around during the midterms. And you want to see what happens when you don't take who represents you seriously. You look at Ohio, who couldn't wait to pass their anti-abortion bill. Assholes like Kay Ives and assholes like Def Santis who are targeting LGBTQ. Abbott, who literally chased a family out of his state with his ridiculous laws against the LGBT. Because the cruelty is the point for the conservatives. And if you're at that point where you don't want to be targeted, you might not be yet because you're straight or you're a white person. Use a little empathy. Because if you're a woman right now, you're a target. I hate to break it to you. I don't care how pretty you think you are. I don't care how faithful you think you are. You're a target for them. And it's tiring that we have to remind you that it shouldn't have come to your dehumanization too. But sadly, it really does take the shit coming to your backyard, being at your footsteps for you to understand how bad it is. And I need turnout next month to shut all of these pundits up, all of these fucking CNBC types that want to get on and speculate on how Beto will lose to Abbott because of the immigration thing. The man literally took people seeking asylum, rounded them up like they were nothing but fucking toys, and tossed them away. Talking about sanctuary cities when he knows we don't have those shits. That has always been a racist term, and I've hated it. Being from New York, especially, because it felt like they were mocking the diversity that we have. And I keep reminding people that even with that diversity, there is still hate. One of the worst hate crimes I ever went through happened on Staten Island. So I don't understand what people think they know about New York, but they just finally elected I think the second or third black Democrat mayor. No, second, because Dinkins. And he's not really that great of a Democrat. We are a purple nation. People need to accept that. There are always going to be those types that think that they are just conservative because of financial or whatever Christian beliefs. But there are also Democrats who act just as bad, just as nasty. And we who are in the middle need to hold it together. We have got 2 weeks before it's time to turn out, and we need to turn out, and we need to flip the states that people think they are impossible to flip to a Dem leader. And I know we can do it. The only thing that stops us is defeatism. The only thing that stops us is the people that are easily swayed by the contrarianism or easily swayed to stay home. And if that is you, you're who I'm talking to tonight. I don't have to convince everybody that is currently in this chat has voted, knows how to early vote, does what they need to do. So this is to the people who will watch this later and feel targeted. If I am targeting you and you feel angry about my words about you staying home, being lazy, and fucking things up for us, good, because you are a fuck up at this point. There's absolutely no excuse not to do your bare minimum. And guard yourself, because there have been a lot of trickery. People who supposedly collect ballots and then your ballot disappears. That's why you need to check. I put my absentee ballot into that box, and every day for the next freaking week, I was checking to make sure it got counted. I was making sure that it got signed, because if it didn't, I was going to require another vote, another ballot. That's how you do that when you're disabled. You can't play those games because you don't know, especially in even states like Michigan and the fucking boonies where I live, where you've got these people who are really upset if you are openly them. You can't trust fuckers with your stuff. So I stayed constantly checking to make sure my stuff was counted. And then I checked today to make sure that my November ballot is on its way. Because I keep getting weird ass paperwork. I got a couple of letters. And Greg was like, didn't you already sign up for your absentee ballot thing? Yes, I did. And while I do believe that sometimes overlap happens and they forget and they want to just make sure, there has been a coordinated effort to fuck with people who are good voters and try to get them to fill out things or mess with us. And it is a mess. When they can't win through fair means, the opposition will do anything dirty. And they've got the media on one side and they've got contrarians on the other. And we have to guard our peace, and we have to be militant about this. I am going to make sure to do my part to make sure Governor Whitmer, Senator Stabenow, Gary Peters, and other people who need to be in the positions they are continue to. I also, hopefully, will do my part to see that Rashida Tlaib is replaced, because I've heard the shit she did. I'm not shocked by it because she's an awful person. But sadly, her being replaced isn't easy. The one chick that I was going to prop up, reached out to, was trying to see if I was going to help her campaign in any way. When you investigate, because that's what you should do when you're vetting and verifying people that you may want to vote for, the paper trail was bad. And I say alleged for a lot of things, but there was a lot of very questionable money issues with this candidate and her husband that I was not down for. I'm sorry, I'm not going to replace a squad member with somebody who's worse. So I just got away from that. And I know that for the Michigan Dems, especially, they were hopeful that I would use this platform to help Michigan Dems. But if I investigate a Michigan Dem and I don't like what I see, they're not getting any play on here. This is not for just replacing somebody bad with somebody worse. We really have to keep smart people in the room because we are not a nation of smart people. So I need at least competent leadership because people don't like being told what to do. People don't like the way things are but don't want to make themselves better. So we need the people that do want things better for all of us to be at the hot seat and doing what they can. And that is the crux of being an American right now. We are a nation full of entitled toddlers that don't like being called entitled toddlers, don't like being told what to do. Don't tell us what to do. Don't tell us how to mask. We know there's a sickness. Don't tell us to get a vaccine. We're dying of respirators, but we would rather drink pee. This is what we are literally up against. I'm not a bad person. I just fly a flag of traitors. I wear Nazi uniform and everything. But you call me racist, so I'm the victim here. And then on the other side, you have black people so easily pulled in by immigration talks. Like, I get it. Being somebody who is from here, 6 generations in, adult descendant of slaves, whatever the fuck that all means. I get how you feel like people don't give us the respect of being Americans that we deserve because we're Americans. We are fucking forcefully planted here, but we're Americans. But to deny people who want to come over here legally and peacefully the right to that process and to make that process better because you think it's going to take from you, that's ignorance. And you're very easily exploited. And I've seen way too much of that shit this week, too. And if we're all fighting each other, nobody wins. And I am fucking sick and tired of that easily exploited bigotry. And I'm tired of people not understanding the difference between bigotry and racism. That's why I put out a thread about it. Because far too many people believe that it's interchangeable. They're similar. Bigotry and racism are both illogical viewpoints on a person's culture, looks, and superficial things. A reason to hate, dehumanize, and to classify them. But the problem that I have with people who try to say things like reverse racism or trying to say bigotry and racism are pretty much the same thing is racism against black people have been so normalized that you can go anywhere, even in places where all black people live, and see forms of it. The forms of anti-blackness that came from the constant dehumanizing of our skin tone. People who came into that continent looked at us and thought, "No, these people are savage. They're less than. We could treat them like the animals they are." Brought us over in chains and then raised generations of us to feel like we're less than. To the point where people over in that continent actually has a fucking word for us, like we're lost. Don't tell me that there isn't a difference between racism because the systemicness of it makes banks look at us funny, makes housing harder for us, makes schools treat our children like they're different, makes navigating a world much harder for just simply existing with this skin color. That is what racism is. Bigotry sucks as well, though. Being a woman and having somebody treat you like you're less than, or that you can't be as smart, or that you're physically weaker. Being Asian and having people assume that you're smarter than you are, or worse. That the anatomy jokes. Let's leave it at that. being Hispanic and daring being able to speak more than one language, have somebody assume the worst about you. That is bigotry. And don't even get me started on our indigenous population that come in so many different groups, but people just want to homogenize and make it all one. It's exhausting. And I get it. But it's still not the same, because you know what? All those groups get to look down on black people. All of those groups still, within their own cultures, still think at least we have it better than a black person. And that is the difference between racism and bigotry that too many people don't want to touch upon. Too many people want to interchange because you think it's cutesy. When you tell me that I need to speak up for you, to stop Asian hate, forgetting that I'm Asian too. I feel like people don't understand that. I don't play up my family roots to get score points, or to talk down people. I've never told fully Asian people that your pain is less than, or that you have to constantly speak for me, because I can speak for myself. But I've literally had Asian people come to me acting like I need to use my black voice. Where were you when my Filipino cousins were being fucking exploited? Especially during COVID times. Literally dying because hospitals were working to care people to damn near death. Where were you when ballots were being thrown out in Georgia to the tune of 14,000 for the Asian Democrats? You just want to talk to me about that shit. I was the one speaking up on that. I am fucking tired of you playing these games when it comes to bigotry and racism, because I have seen it all. My family had to go through the bullshit of serving in things like World War II, but being rounded up because they thought they were Japanese when they were fucking Filipino. Because this country, it didn't matter. Your eyes look a certain way, they'll round you up. And if you have never lived that life, if you have never lived with your country turning on you so quickly because of something that you can't change about yourself, you can miss me with trying to educate me on bigotry. And you can miss me with trying to pit me against my family and my friends and people I care about, because it's not going to work with me. Because like most people in America, we all have multi-ethnic ties. Some people want to get away from that, but I don't. I love my big, beautiful family. I love that we're not all one of anything. And that is the reality of most American families. But what troubles me is how many people try to pit our groups against each other because they fear how further we could go if we all work together. How better it would be for our nation if we would stop this petty bullshit and start tackling these issues. I want to see a nation where less bigotry is acceptable. But I'm not going to downplay the fact that the acceptable form of bigotry for the longest time has been American racism against black people, and the global negative aspects treated to people with black and brown skin. It's a reality. And it's a reality so many of us have had to navigate and try to survive in, and we're tired. But we're not going to stop fighting, and that is what I want people to realize. That's why I want you to focus. November will be here before we know it. And I know people are tired, but I also know that there are people already trying to make excuses, and we can't give that to them. Oh, you can't get to the polls? Let's organize poll drives. Let's do what we can to make turnout strong, because they are going to fight against this. They wanted this administration to fail. They wanted gotchas, and we're not giving it to them because we don't have time for that. People are fucking working. When Joe Biden got sick, they thought they were going to have a bunch of COVID gotchas. That man's been working his ass off even with COVID. They tried to ding him for going back and forth to do his civic duty. Trump hobbled on a fucking golf course for 4 years, not a peep. Wasted millions of dollars in funding for the Secret Service, who did he charge to stay in his stupid ass hotels. He was a fucking menace for 4 years. This president uses Air Force One to go to Delaware to vote. And some dude, journalist, who wants to get his flowers, decides, oh, is this bad? Is this a waste of taxpayer money? Anything to ding the competency because it's all they have. And we have to ignore their noise and keep it moving. And the president put out a tweet earlier today, and I don't know how I feel about it. Because I feel like part of me wants to raise my fist and go, yeah, thank you for that. But the other part of me goes, the other side are going to be stoked by this as well. I want Roe codified. I believe that President Biden could do it. And I believe that if we give him enough senators, that it's possible to do it. But I also believe that putting stuff out there rallies these wannabe crystal fastest morons to push harder. And this is why I need those of you who have been apathetic, complaining about them messaging, not sure what you're going to be doing next month, to get your shit together. Because you can't put it all on the backs of those of us who have been reliable. I'm planning on making sure my voice is heard. I'm planning on making sure that my governor stays the woman that scared these yahoos so badly they had to plot to kidnap her. But I cannot have my state try to carry the states like fucking Texas, fucking Florida, Arkansas, and all of these other states that have people that don't fucking care about them. Looking at you, Tate Reeves, you blotchy skinned motherfucker who can make jokes about how it's not a good day to be in Jackson. Bitch, that is your state. All of Mississippi is supposed to be represented by you, their governor. So when you mock certain people because they are getting dirty ass water, you are a bad leader and you need to be replaced. And these motherfuckers need to stop acting like they're irreplaceable. I am so sick and tired, and he is respect. I just could not believe that he could just be on tape, just guffawing at the fact that he's got citizens under him suffering. But this is the amount of cruelty that they find acceptable. And the Republicans are just a mess right now. I feel like McConnell saw the writing on the wall way before 2020. He realized, I got Beer Guy and Handmaiden. I got Alito. I got Thomas. I'm going to do the damage I can and see what fallout he has. But he did not realize that we turned out for Biden for a reason. We're tired of this bullshit. We're tired of you targeting our kids. We're tired of you targeting us. We're tired of being women and being told we're less than, that our only job is our uterus, and that you don't even want to protect us long enough to have those kids safely. We are tired of a nation that could be further in so many things, but it's dragged backwards by people who want to scream about CRT and don't say gay and other ridiculous, hate-driven narratives that get us nowhere. We're tired of people being proudly stupid. Like, you only speak one broken out English language and you want to mock somebody for knowing more than one? Are you kidding me? I'm tired. This is the year 2020. This shouldn't be this much acceptable ignorance. And it's not just here, but I can't worry about abroad right now when my fucking land is burning. When my land is being governed and narrated, the narrative is idiotic. And the only way I can press back is to not only be a better person, but to elect better people, because these people, they will not do the right thing. It doesn't matter. They don't care about decency. They just care about being right. And they are indoctrinated by the church. They are supported by other idiots like them. And then you give them power. The cruelty is the point. We had a Michigan Republican who let Flint fall to the fucking wayside. We are still cleaning up the mess of that. We have had Republicans in the South that completely destroyed infrastructure, allowed KKK rallies and everything else to run rampant. When a Republican leads your state, it's always problematic. Even in places as far as New Jersey, looking at you, Chris Christie. You had to literally beg your peers for funding for your state being hit by Sandy because you knew that they would call it socialism if you did that. It is tiring watching the other side continuously put a chokehold on any kind of progress, any kind of education, any kind of betterment for our country. Next month, we have the ability to finally put the freaking end to their grip and power for a long time. Because I'm not stupid. This party has reinvented itself constantly since they were the Whigs. They will always find a way to chameleon their way back to power. That is just how it is. But we can make it harder for them. We can make their message have to stop being, who can we dehumanize this time? It feels like they have a roulette wheel at this point. Who can we dehumanize? Let's see. Is it the gays' turn today? Is it black people? Is it women? How about all three? And it feels like they throw a dart. And that's the topic of the Fox News tonight. Who can we attack to make sure our base feels like they're better than? They don't have to be better. They're definitely not educated to be better. But we can give them somebody that they think they're better than so that they will fight for us instead of for a better U.S. And sadly, that shit still works. And we watch them erode our education. It started before No Child Left Behind, but Reagan set that path with Reaganomics, with destabilizing unions, making it easier for lobbyists to pump money into Washington, making it easier for these corporate places that they're weighing in now too, because they don't want to pay the extra taxes. They want to be mega millionaires and fly penis rockets into the fucking atmosphere. They don't care. And it's insulting and infuriating that we keep letting these people dictate the narrative. They own all the newspapers, they own all the media outlets, and they want us to feel like it's bad and nothing's going to change. Put this dictator in for us and we'll continue to be rich. You'll just die for our amusement. It's tiring. And we have to guard our energy, but we have to stop giving up and giving in. I've seen way too much apathy. And that's what I'm more worried about than anything else. I don't trust the 53% enough to really feel Dobbs will move the needle for a lot of them. But enough of them started coming forward and saying, this didn't just affect whether or not I have a baby. I can't even have kids anymore. I can't get my medicine. I'm going to stick it to the Republican running. So this goes beyond the basic stuff. These are people finally waking up to realizing that their privilege will not stop the dehumanization. But I still, like many others, am cautious with my optimism. I'm cautious with my hope. But I still have hope, because if you listen to anybody, even in 2019 and 2021, they didn't believe that we were going to swear Biden in. They didn't believe we were going to win the election, even though we turned out in ways that couldn't be countered. And that's all we have to do, is turn out in ways that can't be countered. And exactly, Beans. College age women are probably going to be the biggest block that turns out during these midterms. And it's going to be something to see, because they are the ones most directly impacted by this reversal of Dobbs. They are also the ones that constantly get inundated by unwanted sexual contact from people, and are often the ones that have to deal with things like assault and harassment and are sick of it. We're sick of being objectified. We're sick and tired of being made to feel less than human. And on the path to equality, we have to realize that our voice is our vote. These midterms are so important. This election is so important. And your vote is your voice. And it's not just a voice for you, because that's another thing that I think pragmatic people understand. That I don't just vote for myself. I would love that luxury, but that's never been a reality for me. I vote for beyond myself because I want people around me, whether I care for them or not, to benefit from good leadership, structure, roads that aren't damaged, bridges that don't fall apart, schools that want to fund and educate our kids. And that comes from caring beyond what happens to people that just look like me. I've never had that luxury, even though I would love to have had that luxury. Every vote I've made has been for the better of everybody around me. And that is what pragmatists do. We realize that sometimes we even have to vote for somebody that you don't really like that much, but they have the better shot at doing the things we need. That was something that I learned in the South years ago. I voted for a sheriff that he's a card carrying Republican, but he worked hard within the neighborhood to protect people, and he saved 4 little black children, saved their lives, didn't even think about it. And honestly, if he wasn't a Republican, was somebody that I definitely would have hung out with. But the reality of the situation is, I don't know who he is now. And if he's still with the party, I definitely wouldn't fucking kick it with him anymore. Because for the last 10 years, you've seen that slide from I'm just a conservative, this is what I believe, to I'm a conservative and everybody has to believe the way I believe if we want what we want. And these weird ass dominionists who are going around trying to push for the end of times, it is a fucking mess. And we just cannot trust these people to have leadership positions anymore. So it is on us to do our parts. And it's not easy because, like I said, our groups come up against the contrarians. Our groups come across the wannabe socialists. Our groups are dealing with the apathetic. And I just want to see all of that stop. You put any investment in anything, whether it's a art project or politics or something personal for you, you see results. It might not be rapid. You might not get everything you want, but you see results. But too many people, they want instant. And I think that's the problem. That's the appeal of both contrarians and conservative. They appeal to the microwave brain type people that think, well, that didn't happen instant, so I don't like it. And it's like nothing happens instant. Everything stable, everything good takes time and effort. And then once we have that good, if we protect it, we don't have to focus on that anymore. But too many people, they allow good to be eroded. They allow bad people to take over and destroy things. And then they go, see, it didn't take the bad person long. It doesn't take long to break stuff. It doesn't take long to destroy shit at all. But it does take time and effort to repair everything they broke, if it can even have that. So can you stop putting us in this perpetual cycle of Republican damages, scorch earths, destroy shit that dehumanizes us? We put in a Democrat to clean up the mess, and then you follow up with another fucking Republican that makes it worse for us. We need to stop allowing these idiots power. I seen that video before I started of Bobbert walking with AirPods in their ear, just swagger, because they really think that they're safe. They didn't care about what happened to Sarah Palin. They don't seem to care that we are turning out in ways that said we don't want y'all leading us. They are still bouncing and swaggering, MTG kicking and pushing people because they really think they're untouchable. We have people running against both of those bobblehead bitches. We can replace them. There is no sitting official that should ever feel safe enough to be cruel. There should be no sitting elected official that makes any of their constituents feel like they don't represent them as well. One of the things that I say all the time about Senator Burr, I might not have voted for him. I don't like the stock thing. But he was one of the only Republicans that ever said to me, it is my job as your senator when I was in North Carolina to help you out. I don't care what your political party is. You have a problem that I can help with my office, and they help me out, because that is what a senator does. And it shouldn't matter if you have a D or an R by your name. If you can't reach out to your elected official, if they're not willing to lead for you, they need to be replaced. And I can't believe that there are grown people that think that they need to be hands off with the person who is literally going to be your voice. But then you want to complain about things like the climate. You want to complain about things like the gas prices. You complain, but you don't realize your part in why shit is shitty. Stop complaining and start being proactive. Know who's leading you. Everything from your comptroller to your senator, you should know. And I know people are like, oh, why should I know about the comptroller? Because they're the ones who get to say how much the county tax is, or to even suggest and propose a budget for what gets paid, whether it's a parking lot or a park. This is shit you should know about your municipality and your local politics, but that people don't think about until it's too late. Oh, you want to get something funded? Well, we can't do that because of a douche nozzle that you have running the money. Don't seem to care. Pocketed it. This is what happens when you don't pay attention to that. Oh, your school board just banned the book that is both culturally relevant and could teach kids about the Holocaust or about Black lives or about anything. This is what happens when you don't challenge those yahoos who put a flag pin and a Bible in one hand, but only want to turn us into Nazi Germany again. This is on us. We have to do our part. And next month, I want to see you go beyond the polls and the punditry. I want you to tune out the noise and do your part to not only stabilize us, but to keep us on the path that watches those idiots who are in the death throes of their bigotry, in the death throes of wanting to just be ignorant, in the death throes of their weirdo Christo fascist takeover, and move beyond. Because I know we can do it. I know we can do it because I got to watch them swear in Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I got to watch them then swear in Miss Jackson Brown. I have watched them swear in Deb Halloran, Pete Buttigieg. So many historic appointments, so many wins. We are on such an upturn of hope for our democracy and beyond. And I just want to see those wins continue on. Everybody wants to focus on doom and gloom because it really is the easiest dopamine hit. Fear and anger is a really easy emotion to trigger out of us humans. But you know what's a better emotion? Hope. Being able to smile, being able to say, I have stuff to look forward to. You have stuff to look forward to. I'm a mom. I don't act like I'm not scared every day. My son is a young black male in an America that might even try to question that because he's biracial, whatever the fuck that means. I know that life isn't going to be easy for him because life is never fucking easy. But if I can do my part to make this world a little bit better, a little bit safer for him and any potential kid, because that's the main reason why I've been dealing with my fibroids. Greg and I have really been talking. I want a daughter. I've never hid that. And I've always thought that being a mom of a little girl would be amazing. It would be magical for me. And that's if they even want to identify as a child, because times have changed and gender really is a spectrum. And I realized that early on in life, and I'm okay with that. And I think I would be a proud parent, and no matter what. I think I like the fact that I have those options. And I want more people to understand that that's what life's about. Figuring out what you want to do, making those around you happy, and making the world better for those around us and beyond. And when you have those life goals, the only thing that can stop you is you. And I know that depression happens. So take time away. I tell my friends all the time, there'll be days where you don't see me tweet a damn thing. I turn the devices off. I stick my head in either a book, a coloring book, or on my word processor writing stuff out. I put on some good music and I just detach from all the toxic. It really is like a cleanse. And it didn't start easy. I'd say my best break started about 3 years ago, where I didn't even need to lurk anymore because it used to be, oh, I'm taking a break, and I would be on Twitter reading and getting upset. And then it was just like, why am I doing this? I'm supposed to be taking a break from this. So now when I need to, I don't even announce when I go on break sometimes. I just go. I don't log on. I focus on what I can to smile and make myself happy. And that's what you've got to do for these next few days. if you feel like it's too much negative, if you feel like you're feeling disheartened, take a break. Find something you like to do that puts a smile on your face, whether it's smoking some weed and staying off, whether it's a video game or just reading, writing. Do something that gets you away from that toxic flow of negative and focus on the positive, because there's so much to look forward to when you do that. There's so much that you can focus on when you're not constantly inundated by people's opinions, because people are always going to have their opinions, even if they're whole ass wrong. But when you start letting so many people's negative opinions weigh on your soul, it has a bad effect. And I've lost way too many friends these last few years to both COVID and stress. The older we get, the more we're going to see this. So I don't want to lose any more of you right now. Take care of your mental health, take care of your physical health, and take care of each other. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I want to thank everybody who has been helping with the new crowdfunding that we're doing on PayPal. We are up to $1,282, which is really great. I am able to now order more books in bulk, get them shipped out to places. We are working on the recording of the audiobook. So much is popping off, and I thank you all so much. The new books look so amazing too. I cannot wait to get those out to you people. Just, I wanted to cry when Roger sent me that artwork, because I was like, he didn't have to do that, and he did it. And then when they put it on the new book, it made it even more real than in June when I first took the chance. And this is all thanks to you, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you and love you so much. And I've been tweeting out the PayPal thing. I pinned it to my timeline. I'm trying to find the link because I can't get Nightbot to do what I need it to do. But the new book is just, anybody who helps with the Kickstarter. Well, I keep calling it Kickstarter, but it's actually a PayPal funder. They will get themselves a copy. I was planning on getting a copy out to anybody who helped out with the Kickstarter. The same rules apply to this as well. So I am so excited. That is the link for the PayPal. But either way, thank you to everybody who has been downloading the ebook. Thank you to everybody who has been helping out in their way. And we will be mailing out books hopefully in the next few days. I have a box coming, fingers crossed, by the middle of next week. And then we are instantly going to get, we got a media mail thing going on with the post office to get these out, because we've got to ship them here. We've got books to ship out to Canada. We got books to ship out to the UK. It is exciting times, and I am just so happy to be able to do this and to share the novel with all of you. So thank you so much to everybody. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, go make some dinner for Axiom and I, go check on Kiddo. He's probably asleep because I fed him before, and Itis gets him. But I just want you to have a good weekend, and I will see you all on Tuesday. Take care of yourselves.